If you're a woman and I ask you, what would it feel like to be loved unconditionally? You probably say that is great. And if you're a man and I ask you, what would it feel like to be respected unconditionally? You probably say that's the best thing. The truth is, in marriage, if couples can only get that love and respect, the unconditional love and respect right, marriage will be much more easier. Now, Paul writes in Ephesians chapter 5 verse 22 to 23, and it says, "Wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as also Christ is the head of the church, and is the Savior of the body. Therefore, just as the church is subject to Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything." There are two clauses there, two phrases. He says, as unto the Lord. So the submission is not as unto the way the man behaves. It's not as unto his abilities or his capabilities. It's as unto the Lord. And he says in everything. I know the term submission has had a really bad rap. So when some women hear it, they literally cringe at such a word. And some men have misplaced the divine intention as to that biblical injunction to submit. So we're taking it back to what Abba says about it. So my submission to my husband is as unto the Lord. I am submitting to the office of husbandship, if there's anything like that, through the personhood of my husband. So that way, it's like you have a boss at work, and your boss, you don't really like your boss, or he's not the best of individuals. You still respect the office of that boss. Now, if you no longer work there, you probably not offer so much respect. But for as long as you work in that organization and you want to keep working there, you respect that boss, whether you like him or not. Now, this is a marital union where you are being paired, joined with your husband forever. And the biblical injunction of submission is a necessity for the man to be able to also offer that love unconditionally. You know, I said earlier, as a woman, we want to be loved unconditionally, whether our game is the best or we're flopping. We want to be loved unconditionally. The same way the man has to be submitted to by virtue of the respect you bring to the table, unconditionally. But the truth is, if you look at that man as he is, there is no man born of a woman that can achieve that status of submission as unto the Lord, because there is no man that can play life like God. And the truth is, even if your husband is so good and is close to an angel, there's no woman again that can offer that kind of submission as unto the Lord to any man. So what makes the difference? Except we are helped by God. So God is a difference maker. That's why the term submission may have a bad rap for someone who does not have the biblical understanding of it, who does not know that this is not something I can do in my own flesh. So that takes care of what I wanted to say about submission. The other one is, now when it comes to love, I know it may look like what the woman has to do is the bigger deal. Let's listen to what Ephesians says the man should do. Ephesians chapter 5 from verse 25 to 28, it says, "Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify and cleanse her with the washing of water by the word, that he might present her to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she should be holy without blemish. So husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself." Now the first verse is my area of interest. It says, "Just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her." That is love unto death. The truth is, I want to believe that God flipped those roles so that we would learn to get out of ourselves and put other people ahead of us, in this case our spouse. Because when God sent his only begotten son, he put the word ahead of Jesus. Because for Jesus to have been in Gethsemane and was crying, Lord, please let this cup pass over me, but nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. He didn't gyrate to the cross and say, now I'm ready to die. Put the nails on my hands. He was scared. But he put his own personal comfort aside so that he could save the entirety of the human race. We would only be able to offer love and offer respect as depicted in the Bible when we can put our own personal preferences, personal points of view, societal points of view aside and look at what God says and how I can honor my spouse by virtue of love or by virtue of respect biblically. And just the same way that there is no man born of a woman that would merit the love that the submission that equates to what we offer to God. Conversely, there's no woman that is worth dying for, because that is the level of love that God expects a man to give to the wife. There's no woman that is worth dying for if the man is in his right mind. I mean, he may be infatuated by love and may die, but in his own right senses, knowing what it is he's dying for, the agape kind of love, there's no woman that is so good, that is so sparkling. The other side again is that there is also no man in his right mind who would be able to, unaided by God, love as much as Christ loved the church. Because, society will then come in, the family will come in. What are you doing? Has she used your head? Has she made vegetables for you? I'm an African, so if you wonder what it is I'm talking about, those are some of the common notions that people have around here. So the truth is, except we are helped by God, biblical love and respect is not possible. The submission that God requires of women is not given to any woman that has not been aided by God. The love that is required of a man is not given to any man that is not aided by God. God is the difference maker. So while you stay married, by all means, bring God into the picture. Whether it's working, whether the marriage is not working, or it looks like it's on the brink of divorce, bring God into the marriage. He can restore what is broken. He is the potter. I mean, you give a potter any piece of clay, whether it's a piece of mess, he can make a masterpiece out of it. So regardless of whatever spectrum, wherever level your marriage may be at, if we go back to these foundational principles of love and respect, and we still want to begin to incorporate that, bring God into the midst of it, have him as the anchor of the marriage, of the relationship, then you begin to see his life flow through your marital relationship. As always, thank you for staying with me on this very brief presentation, and I wish you a very wonderful day. Bye.